mentor in life. He passed on July 3rd, 10 years ago, whenever that was, 2014, that's right. And so I've been thinking about him a lot. He reminded me of my dad, who was probably the other big influence in my life. They had simple, rather annoying ways of answering questions. My father, if you made the mistake of saying, "Are we there yet?" like on a car trip, his answer was yes. And I know, I probably just said it to be funny, but later on I found tremendous spiritual wisdom in that. Because, you know, wherever we are, it's where we are, right? When I would complain about something, my dad would say, "The complaint department is upstairs." And we only lived in a one-story house, so I knew what he was telling me there too. But anyway, Sigafus had similar, my mentor. For instance, if you had a tax problem, he would tell you to make more money. If you complained about just about anything, he would say, "Doesn't make any difference." And when it was your problem, that was annoying. But he was always right. It didn't make any difference. It was always rather small stuff. But the thing he probably said most often when you were looking to go to the next level were two words: stop thinking. Stop thinking. That's what he would tell us, and I used to pay him for advice like that. So for a while, I thought a lot about that. Then I realized that thinking about not thinking was still thinking. Right? So then I finally came to realize what he was talking about. What passes for thinking, or what passed for thinking, in my head for a long time was not very productive. Does anybody here ever wish they could get out of their head? Is sometimes your head not the safest place to be, or the most pleasant place to be? So that's what he was telling us. Get out of your head. Stop analyzing. Stop trying to figure everything out. Stop doubting. Stop talking about what you can't do. Stop lacking. Stop focusing on your counter intentions and forgetting about your intentions. This is what he was saying with two words. Stop thinking. And I realized that as long as I live under a brain, as you undoubtedly do, I'm never going to be able to stop thinking. In fact, I'm not looking forward to the day when I stop thinking. Are you? But I can change my thinking. I can think from a different part of my anatomy. And he was actually reminding us, without really realizing it and probably just trying to be funny, but he was reminding me anyway that you and I have a power of understanding. We have 12 powers. One of them is understanding, the ability to know. And what he was reminding us is it's really difficult to know anything from the level of our head. To know anything for sure. To know anything without doubt. I have this whispering going on in my head. I don't know what it is. Anyway, he was encouraging us to make the ground more fertile in our consciousness for what you and I might call divine ideas. Love, peace, abundance, and joy. I don't know about your head, but mine is not often focused on those things. Mine is often focused on why I can't experience love, peace, abundance, or joy, or what might happen in the future to stop me from experiencing love, peace, abundance, or joy. So this reminds me, too, of another one of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain that you've probably heard me say many times. Mark Twain said, "It is not what we don't know that gets us in trouble. It's what we know for sure that just ain't so." And my head, again, I could only know my head. It's bad enough being in my head. but there's a lot of stuff going on in here that I seem to know for sure that just ain't so. Like Hillary and I might get into an argument. As I've told you, we like getting into arguments during the week so I could talk about them on Sunday. And in the moments that we're disconnected, I would tell you, I would swear on a stack of Bibles, because I'm totally in my head, I'm totally in my reptile brain, I would tell you for sure, she doesn't love me. She's never loved me. And if I'm even slightly in my right mind, I would laugh at that. But in that moment, I know that for sure. And as Mark Twain said, that tends to get me in trouble. Can you imagine? Well, come on over sometime, if you can't imagine. You know what? And I realized that what we know for sure, that just ain't so. It's always going to be the case if we try to know from the level of our head, because our head is usually, if not always, thinking about things. And there's a difference between knowing things and knowing about things, is there not? How many of you here would rather know chocolate or know about chocolate? Is anybody here? I want an answer to that question. Would you rather know love or know about love? Would you rather know joy or know about joy? Would you rather be able to experience love or write a thesis about it? Yeah. So that's the thing. The head is always thinking about stuff, and I looked up the word about. This is really interesting. About means outside. About means around the circumference of. About means near. About means in the vicinity of. It is not it. The closest we can get to an experience of something using our head is near, is around, is outside. No wonder that we get in trouble. There's an old saying, I'm spouting a lot of old spiritual sayings. There's another one that goes, it's never about what it's about. Have you heard that one? It's never about what it's about. Generally, that means we think we get upset because it's about what's going on outside of us, but we really get upset because we're upsettable. That might be the trigger. The cause is in here. It's never about what it's about. But that statement is also true if we think about the fact that when we think about something, it's never it. It's never about what it seems to be about. And when you say the word about enough, it starts sounding really wrong. Does it still sound wrong to you? About. So our head stuff, our head chatter is never exactly on the mark. It's never exactly reliable. It's never exactly true. This is why you all raised your hand about sometimes it's good to be able to get out of your head. Yes? So the power of understanding, like all our 12 powers, the cool thing about them is we can apply them, we can use them from any level of consciousness that we choose or maybe don't choose. So we could try to know with our head, or we can know with our heart. You know, there's a difference again between knowing God and knowing about God. I don't know if we could ever really know everything about God. Can we? And all faith traditions that I know of, all religions that I know of, started with somebody having a direct experience of God, and then the religion became more about that experience, or putting a box around that experience, or a structure, or some doctrine, or some ritual, or something, but it's no longer the thing, it's the box. So our power of understanding can allow us all to be mystics. Because the definition of mystic is someone who has a direct experience of God. Has anybody here had a direct experience of God? And did you find that experience through thinking about it? Or did you find that experience as soon as you stopped thinking about it? Well, stop thinking. Great advice. Thank you, Sigurfus. Stop thinking, because the most skillful expression, I believe, of our power of understanding is to know that we know that we know that God and love and joy and abundance and peace and all of those things are standing right under all things, regardless of the appearance. That even in this crazy and chaotic world, there are spiritual laws that are still applicable, still working, still active, still alive. That no matter what is going on, God is here. God is now. God is all. And it's only love. Wouldn't it be good to know that? Wouldn't it be good to know that in more of our moments? Especially when we're doubting or feeling hopeless or overwhelmed? I think so. Yeah. And we can do this. We can achieve, and we have. That's why I know we can. We have all achieved this level of understanding, this level of skill and understanding. We just forget. We're just so used to going here. We can know God even if we don't know anything about God. Can we? We can know love and not be able to write a thesis about love. And it's the same thing with any aspect of God. And it's the same thing with life. It's the same thing with people. It's the same thing with everything, with feelings, with thoughts. Sometimes thinking about these things is the only thing that gets in the way. Like, one part of our mission statement is we nurture wholeness. We can't know wholeness by breaking everything down into parts, which is exactly what our brains do. Can we? We think that if we know the sum of the parts, we'll understand wholeness, but that never happens because, for one thing, we only know some of the parts. But we can know wholeness and know that everything fits in that wholeness without having to analyze it, without having to worry about it. We can. Yeah. And when schmutz happens, does schmutz ever happen to anybody here? And when schmutz is bad stuff, okay? So it's a Yiddish word meaning dirt. When dirt happens, and all we do is overanalyze like why it happened, and who can I blame, and how do I justify this, and then I project into the future, and how will this affect everybody on the planet from here on in, especially me. I have lost connection. I have lost contact with everything that might help me in that moment. And that's just getting in the way. Mark Twain said, it can get me in trouble, and it does get me in trouble, because what's going on in my head it's not generally in alignment with my deepest values and intentions. My brain gets hyper-focused on other things that I call counter-intentions. And when I focus on counter-intentions, meaning that I entertain thoughts and then make choices and take actions that are not consistent with who I am now, trouble. Gets me in trouble. So, how do we know for sure? How do we know for sure what is so? How do we do it? Einstein said, I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details. Well, guess what's in here? That is mostly details. That is almost all details. So maybe we can take a little cue. Has anybody here read The Little Prince? Well, if you haven't, you might think about it. It's such a cute, wonderful book. Read it in English. It was originally written in French. You might get more out of it in English. I'm just checking if you guys are got your chuckle bones going at all today. You seem so serious. Anyway, in The Little Prince, there's a beautiful quote that says, it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And I'm going to paraphrase that and say, it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the head. The difference between knowing something and knowing about something is found in the heart. Knowing something from our head is really knowing the same old stories that we've told ourselves about that something. Whereas knowing from the heart, it directs our thoughts towards what's right. And towards the only thing that ever matters, which is love. To understand, literally, means to stand not under, to stand in the midst of, to stand among, to stand right in the midst, not around it. Not outside it, not in the vicinity of it, but in the midst of it. And the only organ I know of in my body that I could stand in and be in the midst of things and not flying around them or under them or thinking about what's going to happen later or before is my heart. We are always standing directly in the midst of everything we need for joy and for meaning and for belonging and for love and for healing. Right here, right now, unless we're thinking about it too much. I feel like Khrushchev. I believe that's the first time in 20-something years I've smashed the podium. Long time coming. Anyway, as we like to say in Unity, God as love is always tapping on the door of our consciousness. And the door to let that in is not up here. Right? Khalil Gibran said, faith is an oasis in the heart, which is never reached by the caravan of thinking. Let's steer our camels somewhere else. Because no matter what's going on, even if we don't understand, we can't comprehend the situation, we can't figure it out, and we don't know what's going to happen, even in those cases, even when we think we do know, we can always get still and feel the truth of our divine understanding. It's a feeling. And we can know without doubt that we're always nurtured and guided by that truth within. That no matter what's going on, we can stand right in the midst of it, because right here in the midst of it is unlimited love. You know, I've read the Bible, I've read a lot of what the Buddha wrote, and they did not talk a lot about stuff. Jesus didn't describe the kingdom of heaven. He said, follow me there. He said, do what I do, so you can have a direct experience of God like I have. I'm assuming that's what he meant, but sounds good to me. Follow me. Do what I did. Yeah. So, let's stop thinking. Let's stop thinking so much about things. And let's start practicing the amazing gift of being able to stand right in the midst of things and actually directly experience them. Especially those things that we truly and deeply desire to experience more of. Yes? Or yes? Yes, because that is what it's all about. Let's close our eyes for a moment. Yeah, precious Spirit of love, thank you. Thank you for this power of understanding, our ability to know you, to know love, to know, to fully express and experience. Thank you for this intention. Thank you for this gift. As we unwrap that gift in more of our moments, thank you for all the beautiful fruit. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. Wonderful work.